legitimately.
They can work, pay taxes, they can even join the army. And at the next general election, 1.5 million 16-year-olds across the UK will be able to vote.
Nice to meet you, I'm Lewis.
But these teenagers in Birmingham aren't so keen on getting involved in democracy.
Can I get a quick show of hands who thinks 16-year-olds should be able to vote?
Birmingham Yardley is a constituency with one of the highest proportions of 16 and 17-year-olds, and one of the most marginal. But do they actually know what they want?
And how about you? Why do you think 16-year-olds shouldn't be able to vote?
We haven't got the right life experiences. Like most 16-year-olds, they don't live alone or independently, so we wouldn't know who to vote for. And also because we're 16, we're not fully developed yet. We are easily influenced.
I don't think 16-year-olds are mature, because the frontal lobe develops around 25, 24. And even with the whole age of consent thing, I don't think it should be 16. I think it should be 18 or older.
Well, this country clearly has an emphasis on trying to give responsibilities to 16-year-olds, such as partake in part-time jobs, and so in that sense, they should be responsible enough to vote.
I think it's really important that 16 and 17-year-olds have the vote, because they're old enough to go out to work, they're old enough to pay taxes, so to pay in, and I think if you pay in, you should have the opportunity to say what you want your money spent on.
We asked 500 16 and 17-year-olds how they would vote.
33% said they'd choose Labour, while 20% told us they'd vote Reform. Closely followed by the Greens on 18%, 12% said they'd vote Lib Dem, and just 10% said they'd vote Conservative. When we asked them whether they think it's a good idea to lower the voting age, almost half said no, and only 18% told us they'd definitely vote. Even if all of them voted, there's so few 16 and 17-year-olds that it's unlikely they'd impact the result of a general election.
Despite that, the Green Party has wanted to lower the voting age for years.
I think it's absolutely true that lots of polling shows that young people voting will absolutely boost Green Party support and boost our votes. I'm obviously going to celebrate that. But even if it wasn't, the argument, I think, is quite clear. I don't think there's any argument against young people being able to vote.
This man disagrees.
Would Reform support lowering the voting age to 16?
No, I don't. Even though we get lots of votes. I don't, because I don't think you should be able to vote in an election unless you're also eligible to be a candidate. And I don't think 16-year-olds should stand for Parliament.
And these students think they need to know more about politics before the next election.
Politics is something I'm very interested in right now. So if I'm not taking a huge amount of interest in it, I feel like I would make a biased decision.
Do you trust politicians when you see them talking on the TV?
To be honest, not really. I feel like they do lie sometimes. I think the stereotype of politicians that comes to my head is that they're rich and they don't really know what it's like to grow up in a, working class.
Down in Christchurch in Dorset, the constituency with the highest proportion of over 65s, this birdwatching group also thinks 16 is too young.
I remember what I was like at 16, and I don't think that was a sensible person that should be having the vote.
What were you like at 16? What were you up to?
I was going to the pubs with my mates.
But these older voters had another idea.
I think cut off at 80 or 85. I think older people shouldn't really have a say in what's going to happen to younger people for the next 40 years. So I think cut off old people.
The government tells us limiting the voting age at 80 is for the birds.
I mean, if you're still able to live your life, why can't you vote as well?
No, well, I think as we said, you're not going to be here to see how the issues pan out.
We all vote for what we think we're going to gain out of it. And when you're sort of 80, 85, you're not going to gain a lot.
But ministers insist a lower voting age is just over the horizon. Denison, ITV News.